So, me and Joan watched a movie recently, Joan, my wife, by the main actor was Bill Murray. It was an old movie, 1993 it was released, called Hog Day. And I wanted to watch the movie again because I want to talk about a topic, and I remembered the movie, and I actually want to talk about the topic. My previous video was about meaning, and it relates to this. So one of the themes about the meaningless life has to do what a philosopher like Nietzsche would talk about nihilism. And nihilism is the concept that, or one of the concepts of nihilism is that nothing really matters. There is actually no meaning in life. Life is endless. You might as well, just do whatever you want because nothing really matters. One of the books Nietzsche wrote called So sprach Zarathustra. Don't know if I pronounce it exactly right, but one of the concepts about it is something that in German he called it ewige Wiederkehr, which means endless recurrence, literally translated. And the movie Groundhog Day is a perfect sort of metaphor for this concept. And the concept isn't really new. I mean, if you look at old religious writings like the Hebrew Bible, Christian Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes, talks about that, that nothing is new under the sun, everything is the same. Every day you wake up, there is absolutely nothing new. Now, in the movie, the main actor, Phil, wakes up, this is now Bill Murray, and, you meet him in the beginning of the movie, and he isn't really like evil, it's not like mass murderer, but he's an egotistical, rude guy. He's not that nice. Let's just be honest. And so in the movie, he has to go to this little town, and this American tradition, and this is really there. It's called Groundhog Day, and the story is, this little hog comes out, and if it sees its shadow, that's an ominous sign, because then, the Groundhog Day is the 2nd of February, then winter is going to last 6 more weeks. But if he doesn't see his shadow, so it's an overcast day, then spring will start soon. And so he has to go and do the video, or do the broadcast, and he goes with a TV, a little production team. It's the cameraman, the producer, and all Phil. And he shoots it. He doesn't want to be there, and he's just nasty to everybody. He's nasty to the poor guy. He's nasty to a guy who recommends him from school. I think the Americans will call it, he's just a jerk, And then he wakes up the next morning, 6 o'clock again. And what he doesn't realize, it's actually the day starts over again. Nobody around him knows that it's the same day for him, but for him, it's the 2nd of February again. And sort of, first he doesn't really believe it. By the 3rd time, he wakes up every morning, 6 o'clock, hears the same news story, and then he realizes he's stuck. Nobody around him knows about this, but, this is what Nietzsche would call his ewige Wiederkehr, And now there's 3 responses, and that plays itself out in the movie. And it is really depicted on, I think, the responses of, if you live a life and you think, no matter what I do, it's all for nothing. Nothing really changes. I can't change. Why do I sit with the same dilemmas? And I'm not talking about physical dilemmas. I'm talking about emotional, maybe spiritual, maybe character things. I'm not talking you didn't win the lotto, didn't land this great job. I'm talking your personal life, who you are as a person. You get back the same thing. Nothing really changes. You seem stuck. And the three responses. So his first response is like he's totally depressed, and he actually tries to kill himself. And in the movie, he ends his life in different ways, and it's depicted actually quite funny. But the sad thing is, for some people, that is how, the life becomes so monotonous. There's just no meaning. And I think that is an option, And in my own life, in my own family, and I spoke about this in a previous video, my father ended his life. And I think pretty much because of such a state. He retired, or he was an early retirement. He got retrenched, but as I said in the video, there was enough money, but I think he just realized, now he didn't have to go to work. Now I had to really face who he is himself and life, and I think it became too overwhelming for him. And I don't know, I didn't interview him. I wish I could talk to him again, but I can't, and so maybe you think, okay, people are better off, you might as well end it. But what you don't know, if you end it, you don't know the people who stay. So it's not better off. It's not better off for them. It wasn't better off for me. It wasn't better off for my family. It wasn't better off for my mother. It wasn't, so you might think you do somebody a favor, but you don't. It's tough. And I've learned, and I've dealt with it, and I can now talk about these things. So that was the one thing Bill Murray in the movie did. So and in life that happens. The second thing he did is like just sort of gave him up for pleasure. He just messed around. Was irresponsible relationships, just sexual activity, no love intended, just really trying to use people. Or it could be, people, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, anything is like, hey, it doesn't matter, so I don't really care. There's no point, there's no real sense of morality. What's morality anyway? And then you sort of end up with sort of Nietzsche's type of thinking for him personally was, and didn't end well for him. So if you want to sort of read about history, you can research it about, sometimes a friend of mine used to say about philosophers, I like philosophers. You can learn from anybody really. You can learn from people who you don't agree with, because you can learn from their mistakes. I can learn like, hey, Nietzsche said some true stuff, but I don't want to be Nietzsche, but it doesn't mean I can't learn from Nietzsche. And his life. Okay, well, let's turn back to the topic. And what the character Old realized that, every morning he wakes up again, later he knows everybody, he slept with, and, and whatever, he got drunk, doesn't, the movie goes on, fortunately doesn't really illustrate all of this in detail, but you know what sort of happens, but when he wakes up every morning, no day is better. He's confronted really with himself again, and then there's the third option, which is what Nietzsche would call the Übermensch, the Superman, the super being, being really the best version of yourself you could be. The problem with that, there's some good in that, in the sense of you really try hard to be your utmost best. But if it is for yourself, it's really just egotistical. So what? You are, the brightest person, you get first, you get a promotion, you run the company, you're the CEO, or you head the choir in the church, or you're the best person in the bird club, or doesn't matter what you do. If you're the best dart player, and so you really practice and you're really good, or you're best athlete, ballerina, bodybuilder, doesn't really matter what it is. Anybody can be the ubermensch, superhuman, super being. But if it is for yourself, soon you get tired of this. And, old Phil in the movie, he later on, he could play the piano. He does everything. He really is so good at stuff. But he still wakes up the next day. He still hasn't changed. The day hasn't moved on. Nobody knows it, but he knows it. It's still the 2nd of February for him. And I think, the fourth thing what happened in the movie is he had to realize he is the issue. He had to change. It wasn't about his job. It wasn't about, he actually just needed to become a nice guy. It wasn't for him to be the best weather person, man, that it was his character, he's the weatherman, in the movie. It was just he needs to be a nice person, who's kind and lovable and genuine and real. And I think that ewige Wiederkehr, the eternal recurrence, is true for all of us. And maybe it's not, what's today, the 25th, no? 26th of June 2020. I suppose with our COVID situation, we might all think it's ewige Wiederkehr, every day is the same. But I've personally also realized that, for years, there's certain things I wanted to change in my life, and then I work a little bit about it. I'm not talking about being perfect. Yeah, we're never gonna be perfect. But if you're not honest with yourself, and you might need to get some outside help, and that's fine. Talk to some people, talk to your family, friends, professional people, whatever it is. But you got to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, my life is not going to be, and again, I'm not talking about, hey, you land this great job, stay in this awesome place, whatever it is. I'm talking about you as a person, how you succeed in relationship, what you think of yourself and what other people think of yourself, how you live as a human being, your character. If you don't face it and say, hey, it's time to work on myself, and be honest with myself. It's funny, it started for me when I was young, 20, 30, you just sort of live life, whatever. Now you might be 20 and 30, you think, what the heck am I talking about? Okay, wait till you're 50. Probably see, but now at 35, I'm starting to think, sheesh, I need to become a better version of myself, and I used to say to myself, it's crazy, I used to say, I need to get disciplined and, lose some weight, and, I used to be much bigger than now, and then I would say to myself, okay, now I'm 35, I would at least live till 70, probably. So, I have a few good years. It's halfway, at least the second half, could be better. But then, you don't really work that well in yourself. And then at 40, I remember I sort of said the same thing. And I think, okay, well, at 80, at least I'll probably live to 80 now. I gave myself to 80, At 45, I said the same thing. I don't know what happened, but at 50, I realized... and I know everybody's different, I'm belong to the Christian faith, and I would say God is kind to me. Maybe you would say life is kind to me, the universe is kind to me. I don't mind what you call it. I'm not here to try to convert you to any type of religion or anything. But you know what I mean. There is kindness in this eeuwige wederkeer. It gives you an opportunity to confront yourself courageously, get the help you need from friends, from family, and it's not easy. There's no magic wand, it would take time, and you gotta be brave, but everybody can do this. And, I probably don't think I'll make 100, But since I started doing this a couple of years ago, I can tell you I have made a mistake. I'm not anybody's Ubermensch, but I enjoy my life, and there's meaning, because I confronted myself. Again, my wife, my kids, my friends, they would say, hey, we know Reinhard, he's not perfect, and really I'm not. But I really started to confront myself, and that eeuwige wederkeer is actually that you don't have to have a nihilistic view of this. You can have another view. You don't have to be full in the Groundhog Day that give yourself over to either pleasure or total misery. Might as well end my life. Or hey, all that matters is me. I'm the best version of myself, the Ubermensch. Just be yourself in a certain way, to be kind and true to yourself. And willing to use the opportunity if life, or whatever you want to call it, brings it back to you. There's a reason for it, and no matter how much prayer, meditation, mantras, whatever you want to call it, you do, until you face yourself, it's not going to change. It's not going to grow. And it means to be courageous. But everybody can do this. This is in the grasp of all people. And, it's not a once-off thing. Once you get it, you realize that eeuwige wederkeer is a continuous thing. But it's a continuous kindness that we confront it and we say, okay, well, great, I've learned this lesson. That thing in my relationship, if I view life this way or people this way, it doesn't get better for me. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me that needs to have a different view. And if you are kind enough to yourself to allow life to teach you that lesson, it really becomes easier and better. I really hope this helps you again. This is a lot of my views. I don't profess that this is the Alpha and the Omega. Maybe you can relate to this and it can help you in a certain way. Thanks for listening.